Sonic Legacy Issue 5. We start out with Eggman wasting our time and Sonic falling down, with no explanation for why the explosion didn't hurt him. I have to assume Rings protected him, but seriously, fan comics are written by Sonic fans, so there's no excuse for that not being explained. He takes another fall. I guess Rings saved his life there, too. And then, in a temple, he approaches someone in a Black Dark Legion cloak who's holding a Chaos Emerald, which Sonic's never seen before. You'd think everyone on Mobius would recognize a Chaos Emerald on sight because of all the wars that would have been fought over giant magical jewels. I doubt there's any other gems out there on the planet that large. After taking an eternity to respond to him for some reason, the Dark Legionnaire guy says Sonic's exactly where he needs him to be, and Sonic ends up holding an emerald. And we see a page with all of his enemies in the background, and he's confused. And yet in the next panel, he isn't holding an emerald anymore. So did the emerald briefly show him all of his future enemies? Huh? This is exactly my reaction to the story. The originality is at least there, but it's way too vague for me to latch onto it. Whatever happened to him just jumping into a giant ring after a goalpost to get into a special stage? Why is that too easy to understand now? Was he going into a special stage? Sonic beats some badniks with a kick, and Eggman sees it on camera footage and tells Omelette to ready the ship and wait for his commands, wanting a relic retrieved immediately. What's the relic? Since when is the Chaos Emerald called that? As I expected, that was a waste of time. Sonic ends up confronted by Eggman, as I still wonder who that Dark Legionnaire or Kingdom Hearts villain was. I assume it's Knuckles, and it's inspired by Sadiam Season 3. But it was only polite of him to put his hood down when talking to him and introduce himself. Who would confuse him for no reason? There's barely any plot here, and what little interesting stuff happens is too vague. Eggman reveals to Sonic all of a sudden that he has 6 Chaos Emeralds. At least that's original compared to Sonic having them all in Sonic 1. So, that guy that was holding an emerald in this very issue, did he not have the ability to just Chaos Control teleport it to safety? Guess not. What, did Eggman punch him and get the emerald from him? Or was he holding a very tiny Master Emerald in his hands? Sonic says he'll take it off his hands, but if he was really smart, he would just run at him and smack into him with a spin dash to knock him away, and get the emerald he's holding. Instead he just keeps blabbering on while Eggman looks uncharacteristically scared. Then he's threatened by a giant mecha, and he thinks that he should have known this was a trap. If the writer knew that, why did he write him to be this stupid anyways? Isn't it nice of the mecha to not smash him and all the time he's talking to Eggman with his back to it? The entire lead up to the part where Sonic met the mecha is actually inferior to the Genesis arc in the reboot. I would have actually rather seen him go through Scrap Green Zone Act 3. At least it keeps it simple and is understandable compared to him meeting Sadiam Knuckles for no reason, and then there's no consequences. What happened? I don't know. It turns out that, predictably, Tempest is trapped in the mecha. Predictably from the way Eggman was just reacting. I assumed there'd be a robot that was based on her. Or at least she'd be roboticized. That'd be keeping it simple. She was called a test subject. Come on, it's a fan comic. They're allowed to have a Sadiam concept like robotization when they're already using an original character. Another Sadiam concept is the Infiltrator robot. Instead, this mecha is just a giant badnik, except not shaped like an animal. And she seems to be unconscious, surrounded by red stuff, which somehow is lending her energy to it without drowning her. Just as poorly explained as robotization. At least mechas are larger than a roboticized Tempest. But either way, Sonic would attack it the same, by spin dashing. Eggman talks as if the first person he tried this on died. Something truly sinister could have been done with that. Like we would have cared if that person was Sonic's father. How did he get it to work this time? I guess a mecha requires too much energy for a person to power it and survive for long. How'd she survive it? Wouldn't he just put 2 people in the mecha to ensure it would work then? This wasn't what was built up to. Why would he have needed her organic data for this? I guess it's meant for the next arc after this. Sonic finally spin dashes at Eggman to send him away. I guess idiotically not spin dashing fast enough that he'd go through him or kill him. Or even injure him. If Eggman was smart, and nearly as intimidating as he was shown when his face was kept off screen, then he wouldn't have made the baffling mistake of being right in front of Sonic with nothing separating and protecting him. How would Sonic have the time to say all that stuff, threatening to rip the mecha apart, when he's spin dashing towards it the whole time? Instead, it somehow is fast enough to lift its hand up and catch him. I guess it's magical like that. But logically, if it was faster than him, he'd be doomed. Why'd it wait so long if it's faster than him? He's thrown against the wall and told that the mecha was built for burrowing through rock. Which is interesting, giving it a secondary purpose beyond fighting Sonic. Now I wish a lot more mechas had that. The mecha catches up with him after he starts fleeing from it. I guess it's not faster than him anymore, because he wouldn't have been able to run away from it and stay away from it for so long otherwise. And he has a painfully forced line that's only there to reference Sonic Adventure, which took me right out of it. He wouldn't tell his enemy to watch out because he's about to crash, and he wouldn't scream either. Isn't it nice of the mecha to not attack him, and all the time he's saying that he needs to get his buddy out of it? Wait, I thought Tempest was unconscious. How can she scream for help without liquid getting into her mouth, making her gurgle? Or maybe it was just red light. But no, she was floating. I'm expected to believe the rust bucket's gone nuts and was damaged a lot from going down. You mean from crashing? I never saw it go down. He says that the mecha's got tons of data on what he's done, but doesn't know how much he hates stopping. He stops, and for some reason it doesn't stop him from spin dashing out its window and getting Tempest out of there. If it was that easy, why didn't he do it as soon as he saw it? Why is Tempest unconscious now? She was able to scream for help a lot earlier. Good thing for Sonic that the window is made of such weak material that he could just go through it with one spin dash. It turns out there's a bomb in the mecha with a conveniently displayed timer that ticks down in seconds. Sonic runs away from a moving wall of rocks and escapes into a field. Then Tempest wakes up in the hospital. So she's gonna waste even more of our time. If this was Sonic 1, this wouldn't be happening. Tempest told she's not fit to walk yet, and she asks where Sonic is. He didn't wait for her to wake up because he had things to take care of. So why is she not fit to walk yet? I don't remember her actually getting hurt. She's upset about him leaving, and asks the chili dog vendor from earlier where Sonic went. Flights have been grounded since the explosion, so she's told to go to the airship, and she thanks him. He says he's glad he could help, and she promises to buy from him next time. I guess she doesn't have any money on her. Then Tempest is told that he's not here anymore. He's fast after all. She's told that small, private planes are still allowed to fly, and she calls Sonic a jerk for leaving her without a note or anything. Sonic then hopes she doesn't hate him. So if he knows he did something that upset her, why'd he do it anyways? He would have at least told the doctor to leave her a message saying to stay away from him so that Eggman won't kidnap her again. After all, basically all she did in this comic was slow him down and then get kidnapped. There was one time she saved him from drowning, but that's very situational. Then there's a convenient beeping from Sonic's plane. It looks kinda like Eggman's face is in front of the steering thing. It's not like it's got a long mustache, but still. This made me think it had been taken over by Eggman remotely at first. He says he can't let Eggman hurt anyone else. And yet he didn't kill him last time, or beat him up so badly that he wouldn't hurt anyone else. That's his fault! Omelette complains that those two nuisances must have cheated to be able to keep up with him so easily. And he types on a keyboard, and we see him look at some vague shape on a screen. And he says he's prepared to set the final part of their plan into motion. It's nice of him to say our part when it's just his, and say, my dear Omelette. But again, the writer's just admitting he's got barely any creativity of his own, because Eggman's next destination is the location of Sonic 2. Even though literally everyone was looking forward to a completely original story after Sonic 1 was done with. This is no better than Ian Flynn going to the Genesis arc after he was done with Unleashed. Meh. So that was a waste of time. For some reason, when I finished reading the story, I was under the assumption that the next issue wouldn't have Tails in it. Because you've already got Tempest there, and this is a comic about Tempest and Sonic. When I thought about it later, well, of course Tails would show up in the next couple issues, because it's about Sonic 2. I don't know why I was expecting any kind of creativity there. I am excited to see him, because I like him, but it wouldn't be very original to have him show up. This issue is about Sonic freeing Tempest from the giant mecha badnik by spin dashing through its window, so easily that I had to wonder why he didn't do that right away, because it was just one hit. He never attacked the mecha once. That's some boss fight. Still better than just stealing the Sonic 1 final boss, but still. We're supposed to believe it got pretty damaged from crashing, but obviously it'd be a lot better if we saw it crash into something, instead of seeing it forced mean. So, I guess the crash weakened the cockpit window, even though it doesn't look cracked at all. So Sonic got to run out of the cave ruins place carrying Tempest. She had to go to the hospital for no reason. And then there's forced drama because he left for the hospital without even attempting an explanation for why. He could have easily told the doctor to tell her that he wants her to stay away from him so Eggman won't kidnap her again. Why does he have no social skills here? He's not Sonic X Sonic. Instead, she just thinks he's a jerk without even trying to think about why he's leaving her. So she just takes it personally. Well, she kept the great dynamic with Sonic going that she had in Green Hill Zone for the entire adventure, then that would have been nice. But somehow they even managed to screw that up, because she turned into Sally for the rest of the arc instead. So that's all that happened. Eggman's preparing to go do Sonic 2's plot next, which isn't creative like I thought the comic would be after getting Sonic's first adventure out of the way. Now there's no excuse. Also, there was a really confusing scene with Sadium Season 3 Knuckles holding an emerald. He wouldn't have been so vague, and how did Eggman have all 6 emeralds then if Knuckles had one just fine? Or I guess that wasn't Knuckles, because that'd be interesting, having him in a black cloak and knowing Sonic already. And I wouldn't put it past this idealist writer to have Sonic 3 planned on happening next with exactly the same plot. And it couldn't be exactly the same plot if this was Knuckles, because this guy knows Sonic already, so I would expect him to be smart enough to not be tricked by Eggman into fighting him. A lot of the time, it seemed like the writing was too slow-paced considering how basic the plot was and how little there was for me to talk about. It was hard to think of what to say about it when Sonic was alone. It's just, Sonic saves Tempest and leaves her behind. The end. Sonic 1 isn't any more creative just because a damsel in distress was added to it. Write a fanfiction if you have that little creativity to offer. It'd be much faster for everyone. It's disappointing and underwhelming that all Eggman did was put her in another badnik. It's misleading to have this build-up that she's going to be part of an experiment, when he just did the same thing to her they did to the animals, except it's a mecha instead of a little robot. How is that epic and exciting? How am I supposed to be excited by yet another giant robot of Eggman's? I assumed that either she'd be roboticized or he'd take her DNA to make a robot like her.